Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, and I'm doing a video response because I haven't done one for about a month now. Alan Stewart, Mamemeister, has put out there another one of his 5 random questions for the community to answer, and these are pretty cool questions. So I just thought, yeah, totally going to do this. So let's crack on with the very first one. Alan's first question is, if you were offered your current salary to be a full-time YouTuber, would you go for it? To me, the answer is, oh, heck yes. But with some slight qualifiers. Now, where I work, I've got really good benefits, and the way Alan worded the question, it sounds like it's only your salary that's going to migrate over. You're not going to get any benefits, you're not going to get any, like he even mentioned if something was to happen to YouTube and it went away and you're now looking for another job, you're going to say, what, you've done YouTube videos for a career? So yeah, he said that it's just your salary that's moving over and nothing else. But to be honest, I would be okay with that. One major issue that us mature adults have to think about is job security and that kind of stuff. But as Alan pointed out, no matter what job you have, it's not like any of these things are definitely guaranteed to last forever. And without going into any details right now, my job is a little bit in a questionable front. I've started thinking like, all right, what's going to happen for me if I have to look for something else? So yeah, the idea of somebody coming along and promising me what I currently make and just do YouTube videos, yeah, I'm all for that, no problem at all. I would not be too thrilled about not having the very comprehensive benefits that I currently have, but I think I would make that work. I honestly have, and this is going to lead on to one of the other questions later, or doing YouTube videos really benefits me. It keeps me kind of sane and not worrying about a lot of stuff. And so if I could do that as a full-time job and not have to deal with the crazy stuff I get up every morning to have to handle, I would totally do that. So yes, first question, definitely. I am aware that there's a little bit of danger and risk of, like, you know, just leaping into something like that. It doesn't mean you're going to be set for life or anything like that. But if the opportunity presented itself, and I have been looking around in other career areas lately, so yeah, if somebody came along and said you could do YouTube, for sure, the answer is yes. Alan's second question is a doozy. Essentially, he's just asking, do you think that our tech-obsessed society that we currently have today is a good thing? And this is a really big answer I'm going to give, so apologies if this video ends up being a bit long. Overall, well, okay, let's put it this way. I am more than acutely aware that our lives in the modern era are incredibly improved thanks to advances in technology. I mean, we have never had it more... we've never been healthier or happier or known more or anything than previous times in periods of history. Having just been to England last year and done like the Tower of London tour and that kind of thing, I can guarantee you for the general populace, we've got it pretty good now compared to how your average citizen had to live back in the old days. But that doesn't mean that technology is a magical cure for everything and it's awesome. It's really fun, but, well, let me deal with some of the positives first. When it comes to, say, social networking, YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, any of that kind of stuff, where there's a sense of community going on, there have been things that have happened for me that would never have been possible had our technology not reached the state it's at right now. For example, on Twitter, I made some comment about Mark Hamill, and he actually acknowledged that. That's amazing as a Star Wars fan. I have, through a series of interesting events, the guy who built Computer Space, Ted Dabney, has actually been in touch with me via email, and I've had a few conversations with him. That's pretty incredible. So yeah, the capabilities that social networking provides are amazing. We're a little overly obsessed with it. I mean, when I watch these things about like YouTube drama and people banning other people and that kind of stuff, I'm just like, that's taking it too far. Also, the fact that you can pretty much get your hands on anything these days, whether like through eBay, you can buy anything you want. There were things I wanted as a kid. I think I talked about like Digital Derby, for example. I could never buy that. Now it's just a couple clicks away. Also, there are things like homebrew games that people make that you can just download and play on your Vectrex or your Atari or whatever. That couldn't have existed before. So those are really, really big positive things. When it comes to the more negative things, though, the more we get obsessed with our technology, the more we focus on our technology, I think we cocoon ourselves in this bubble of isolation that we assume this is the end-all and be-all of everything in life, and there's a natural world out there that is actually, quite frankly, in a bit of trouble, and we're kind of just ignoring all of the things that are going on because we assume, well, we'll just live in our cities and we'll play with our video games and we don't have to worry about it. But this is all intrinsically linked, and the more we concentrate just on technology, the more dangerous I think things are going to be. So that's a negative. Now, I will round off with a positive thing. I do think that one thing Alan said is so very typical of what a lot of generations have always said, and I say it myself, and that is these darn kids these days, they don't understand how good they've got it, and they've got no respect. You know, the usual thing. I heard it when I was a kid from older people. I'll actually argue the opposite. Where I work, there are a lot of young people around me, like 20-year-olds and stuff like that, and I'm really impressed that they have an understood cultural, I don't know, there's a way for them to all relate to each other so much better than I had when I was in high school. I mean, in high school in the 80s, things were awkward and people came from totally different walks of life and just didn't know how to respond or react to each other. Now I watch people on YouTube who, you know, I've watched a lot of younger YouTubers that have got like the millions of subscribers, and I've been really impressed that like these are kids who have an almost innate understanding of like, you know, racism is bad and sexism is bad and we need to just all get along with each other and just, you know, peace and love. It's ironically the 60s hippie kind of movement has migrated into a lot of young people today, and I really find that refreshing. And on a technical level, I was listening to a podcast I've mentioned before, This Week in Tech. Leo Laporte and crew, they are older than me. And there was one show they were talking about, the darn kids these days, they don't know how to repair anything left behind by any of us. They're all going to hell in a handbasket. And I just thought, then one of the panel was like, hold on. That's just old fart talk that you guys are saying. There is an entire maker movement out there of kids that are rebuilding and reconditioning old radios, cameras, engines, equipment, cotton ginnies. You know, there is a whole group of people that have been incredibly fascinated by what the old ways of doing things have, that they have innovated and actually improved a lot of stuff. And it's not just old technology either. You look at like the way there are now mods to use video games as an example. You can get mods for all these different kinds of bits of equipment so that you can play, you know, import games from other regions. I've briefly shown, and I'm going to do a video at some point, there's a 3D imager for the Vectrex that is a homebrew created one because the original 3D imager for the Vectrex was quite rare and is now super expensive. You can buy this other one for not a bad price tag, and it works great. There's the Vec Multicart. Like, there's all these homebrew carts and ways of doing things. There's the Retron 5. Plug in your old cartridges into this one console, and it'll play everything. So I don't agree with the damn kids these days, they don't understand. I think there's actually a lot to be said for how our tech-obsessed society is in lots of ways better these days. Just be aware of the fact that we've got a big problem with the natural world outside of technology that I really think we need to concentrate on as well. All right, let's move on to Alan's third question then. This one's a little depressing, and it's actually a similar question somebody else asked a while ago. His question is, if you were on death row, yay, and you had a choice of either watching a film, playing video games for 2 hours to be the same amount of time as watching a film, or listening to music for 2 hours, which one would you do and why? Now, my initial gut reaction when I heard that question from Alan is, oh, I would watch Star Wars. Without a question of a doubt, that is my favorite movie of all time. And it really, I know it's cool to like Star Wars and stuff, but I loved it since I was a kid, and it's very central to my entire, who I am. So, yeah, I thought to myself, yes, I would watch Star Wars. But about a year ago, I think, another fellow that I'm subscribed to, a retro gamer addict, he had a similar, you're on death row, and I think in his case it was if you're going to watch a movie, which one is it? Or if you're going to play a game, what is it? Or something like that. And he had a very good point that I hadn't really thought about. He said, if you're about to be executed, you've only got so much time left. You've got a day or two left in your existence. Are you really going to waste it watching a movie you've watched 100 times already? And I thought, he's kind of got a point. There's some validity to that. And I thought, gee, maybe watching Star Wars would not necessarily be the best choice in that equation. So it wouldn't be video games for me. I love video games, don't get me wrong, but I don't think I would do that. I think, like Alan, and I was surprised as I thought about this, my answer would actually be to listen to music. There are some songs, I could give you a playlist. There are some songs that really echo the very nature of existence, and I want to hear those before I die. I won't bore you with the list, but there are some songs that have been really amazing, special experiences that I would want to listen to, especially in this situation where it's okay, you've got 2 hours, get that playlist up. So I think, and the nice thing about listening to music, it echoes or resonates in your memory what it was like at a time, at a place with people, smells, experiences. And if you are listening to the music, you're not just passively listening to it like you are watching a movie. You're actually pondering and thinking about things and reminded of things. And I think I would rather have that in my last 2 hours on this earth. I think I would rather be in a situation where it's oh man, you remember when you first heard that song? Or man, doesn't that make you think of that friend of yours? Or, that I'd like to have that trip down memory lane, which music can provide, that I don't think a movie would. Now, I'll put a little asterisk. Am I allowed to listen to one particular song from the Star Wars soundtrack in that equation? Because that would be a little cheat. I'm getting my Star Wars in there, but I'm just listening to one particular track. And if anybody wants to know what that track is, it's going to sound silly, but it's actually Princess Leia's theme from the first film. I'll do a video about this someday. Not that Princess Leia is my favorite character or anything, but that particular song has an incredible memory for me that I would love to experience that on my last 2 hours on Earth. So if I can add one and only song from the Star Wars soundtrack into my 2 hour playlist, I surprisingly would rather listen to music before I'm executed. All right, let's cheer things up, kind of. Alan's next question is, do you miss head-to-head gaming, where you're sitting side by side with somebody on a couch and just playing a game? Now, he probably thought that was a cheery brightening of the subject matter, considering what we just talked about. But for me, I can't say that I miss that because I honestly never really had that, and that's sad. But when I first, the very, very first console I ever played, and I'll put a picture in here. This is called the Unitrex Video Pro. It's got a few other names, but it's a Pong console. You rotate the dial and you can play different types of Pong games. You've got just standard old Pong with the one paddles, or you've got hockey, I think, with 2 sets of paddles, more like a foosball table idea. And then there's squash, and it's a half a dozen different variations on Pong. It's 2-player only, and my mother actually played it with me when I was, what would I have been? 10? Yeah, about 10 years old. And I loved it. I'm like, oh my God, we're moving things on the TV set. This is an incredible experience. But admittedly, it's just Pong. I love Pong, don't get me wrong, but it is just a Pong console. Then I got the Atari 2600. I was like, great! And that comes with combat. But nobody would play combat with me. So I got single-player games like Adventure and Space Invaders and all those other great titles. And since that point, I've always been kind of a single-player experience guy when it comes to console gaming. Many years later, I did the online network, whatever type gaming, and I love that to death. And you've seen enough of my Battlefront videos, so I love playing online. But Alan's question was, side by side on the couch, do you miss it? I never really did it. I have done it recently. My wife and I have played a couple of PS3 and 4 games. Ratchet and Clank All for One is a great cooperative on the couch together game. We had a lot of laughs playing that. And several of the Little Big Planet games. So I have enjoyed it recently, but I have no memories of like playing it in the 16-bit or 8-bit era or any of that stuff. I have no, except for that Pong console, I have no fond memories of what it was like to play head-to-head together on the couch. So no, I don't miss it because I never really did it. And Alan's final question, let's hope I can stop with all the frowny faces. Alan's final question is, if YouTube was to shut down tomorrow and you were to lose all of your content and it would all just went away, which is not that impossible to imagine, would you say, that's it, I'm calling it a day, or would you start again, start afresh from brand new? Now, all of my videos, I've actually backed them up on memory sticks and stuff, so I've got all of my videos. I could, theoretically, if I went to, let's say it was Vimeo or Dailymotion, those are other, or Facebook has got videos now. But in Alan's case, I think he had said, like, let's say there's a totally new one called New YouTube. Would you join it? Assuming he doesn't mean, and then take all my old videos and upload them again. If I had to, like, if I had no way of redoing all my old stuff and I had to start from square one again, would I? Yeah, definitely. I actually really just do YouTube videos to keep myself happy and concentrating on constructive, creative things that help me, you know, release some of my creative energies and artistic kind of imaginative side. And the fact that anybody watches it at all, that's a bonus. I'm very pleased. Longboys Post 1975 said it once perfectly. He said, even one view is amazing. And I agree with him. The fact that I get any views at all on any of my videos is just a bonus. I would put them up if they got 0 views. I hope that never happens, but I do it largely for myself. There are things, like I say, my job is in a weird state and the environment is collapsing and I'm very sad about going on death row. So yes, for me, a way to kind of disassociate myself from anything that's kind of stressing me out and worrying me, I make a video. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to play something on the Vectrex now, and I'm going to make a video about it. And that is more constructive and positive use of my energy instead of just worrying about stuff all the time. So if it all went away and I had to build from square one all over again, yeah, I definitely would. No question about it. So there we go. There are the answers to Alan's 5 questions. It was a really fascinating bunch of questions this time. Alan, thumbs up on that. And I will upload this now. So until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.